Yo, what's up? I was hoping, I almost was late because Nicole was distracting me as always, and I barely noticed it was a time for the live. And I was like, no! A minute doesn't count, right? Right. Who knows if anybody shows up? Fuck it. I figured I'm gonna start making like videos and shit. I got me a brand new fucking pretty epic ass laptop yesterday. And that's probably what I'll use to do that. So yeah, that'd be cool. But I could go back and forth as I always do and kind of like make everybody else's arguments and all that for his innocence silly. But I won't do that tonight. I will go over the evidence as I remember it and well, kind of speak on how it's kind of insanity or bullshit that they found him guilty in the first place. I don't know who's here. I don't know if anybody's here. Either way it goes, most of y'all. Some of y'all can just suck it, but yeah. I hope most of y'all are having a great day. Oh, and if I have time, I don't know if I put this in the title or not, but I'm going to be introducing my new minions. And it's funny about that because I told some of my homies that I was introducing my new minions tonight, and Shibby asked me, does that mean that you're introducing me and Nicole on here? And I was like, really? What setup are you talking about? I don't know. I didn't do anything. I literally just created a live like I always do. Why's it different? I'm so lost. I mean, it just looks like a black screen with the. All I see is a black screen. The usual box that I talk in is tiny as hell. I don't get that, but I think StreamYard is doing all kinds of weird shit recently. But yeah, I don't know what you see. I don't know what I see. It looks about the same to me, I guess. I mean, I may need a little bit more explanation than that, Nicole. I have no idea. No clue. I had another live set up. All the only thing I usually do for live is I give it a topic or a title. I set it for a time and the date, and I had the thumbnail. That's it. I don't know what. And like I said, StreamYard's doing some crazy shit with their stuff lately. I have no idea. So yeah, we're gonna go over the evidence against Richard Allen and Discord. I don't fucking know. But wait, are you talking about my live or are you talking about Discord? Freaking weirdo. Well, man, I'm on a cell phone. If I click out of the live, it's probably gonna cut me off locally or something. But when I go get my minions, Lord, everybody. Let's see if I can do this without fucking everything up. 1 second, guys. I'm not sure if you can still hear me anymore, but I don't know. I don't know if that's YouTube or if that's StreamYard. I have no idea. You mean basically with the chat inside the fucking view with me and the little thing? Yeah, that's different. Actually, some lives actually do come in like that. Like when I watch those slot machines lives and stuff. It basically looks like that. and you have to be constantly like pressing the screen or whatever just to see the messages and stuff. But I don't know if I can do anything about that at the moment. I'm scrolling through what small amount of things. Yeah, I'm definitely not seeing anything like that. Hmm. Maybe people camera. Oh, maybe using a camera. Yeah, I have no. Yeah, I guess that's something new we have to figure out or something. It's probably some sort of sneaky trick or whatever to get uh more money out of people. So yeah. Where my chat go? Great. I gotta find it. Okay, I found it. It's okay. I only have a few people that watch me, anyways. The rest of them are just stalkers, so it's okay. But yeah, I should have time no matter what, even though it's going to require me being on camera for a moment. I'm probably going to be introducing my new minions tonight as well, which, as I said, was hilarious because Shibby thought I was talking about him and Nicole. And I was like, what? That's rude. Like, y'all aren't my minions. Y'all are like my friends, my amigos, my comrades. I don't know. I rate their up like 7 or 8. My buddies, my, stuff like that. And I'm like, minions, man, that's like little, trolls or goblins you have running around doing like odds and ends for you or whatever because they had no choice or you beat them up or something. You know what I mean? Totally different between minions. That's what I'm saying, Nicole. You tell them. The fact that Chibi had to be told that, it's like, well, really? I'm like, bro, what do you see yourself as? That's just like not very nice way to think of yourself. I know I talk a lot of shit sometimes, but hey, I like my friends, damn it. If y'all were my minions, so I wouldn't address you at all. You'd be doing what you're supposed to be doing, and I wouldn't have to tell you, and you'd never be seen or heard. Period. That's just my minion. The only time you show them minions is to introduce them and then throw them away, and put them back to work or something. But hopefully, it ends up just more than Nicole. He goes, I'm going to go over the parts of the evidence I remember, and well, I think I only remember like some witness testimony, the unspent round, the what else was it? His own testimony, the confessions. I'm sure if I think about it a little bit harder, I'll find a little bit more stuff. But the point is, uh, many different reasons. No, the majority of it all does indeed, in fact, get eliminated by 3 separate ways, and a very small amount after that just I don't know. For the life of me, it just doesn't add up to a whole guilty beyond a reasonable doubt thing. I myself will say that I do, in fact. Well, do I have to keep telling everybody that? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I feel that he probably did it. I just didn't feel like they, proved it. Period. I mean, I could tell you how they could prove it. Yeah, you were telling me you were reading the Frank's ring, but you didn't say anything after that. So, well, there's a link if you want to come up here and talk, Nicole. I'm fine with it. I know pretty much a lot about the Frank's memorandum and all that other good shit. But yeah, throughout the trial, especially right before the jury things, we were always told, uh, for one, Judge Gold specifically said, well, no, I have no problem with people having different opinions in mine. As I said a million times. I'm very open minded. If anybody and everybody would actually love to somehow, uh, yeah, I don't even need to be convinced. If you can just somehow eliminate him from the 4 little pieces of evidence I have that kind of lead me to believe it's he's lying. He probably involved. But yeah, if the cops had done their job right in the first place, there's two massively major pieces of evidence that they would actually have had at trial. Thus, in my mind, then they would have had enough to prove at least the felony murder. At least. Maybe the other one too. Well, actually, no. The one piece of evidence is so fucking good. The fact that they don't have it. No, actually, both. Yeah, I'd like to think both of them are. Yeah, yeah. The two major pieces of evidence that they could have used in this case, they didn't fucking have. They chose not to get one because it cost too much money. And the other, well, they just too stupid to find a fucking car. And since I need to teach the I don't know, Indiana law enforcement basically how to do their fucking jobs, which I hate doing this because the video title and everything kind of makes it sound like I think he's innocent. I mean, theoretically, I guess I am saying he's probably innocent. Why? Because if I'm arrested for murder, whether or not I commit the murder, if I go to trial and I don't know, they just sit there and don't say anything at all the entire trial, but then I'm still convicted, right? Does that necessarily mean that they did their job? I don't think so. You know, I do believe that the jury probably made this decision because of the plain out and simple fact of they didn't want to risk letting somebody that potentially had something to do with that would murder kids out on the streets. I'm also going to talk about things about certain things like confessions that just don't make any sense. Many pro state people will have to point out, yeah, but the one fucking confession is what mattered. I'm sorry, but even the one confession is full of bullshit. So if that one's full of bullshit, and they're all full of bullshit, and he even told his father that he was going to say a bunch of bullshit, well, let me ask you a question: Can you really should you be really able to use that as evidence? I don't think so. That's just me. And that's not the only reason that I can say that about the confessions, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Okay. What else? Oh, okay. We gotta have a little talk about the bullet too. Apparently. What else is there? But as soon as I'm done destroying this fucking case that the state had that was garbage and trash, I'm going to tell you the very few simple things if they had done their jobs fucking correctly that you could have tacked on to their bullshit trash fucking case. And then add on a couple of more that I found my fucking self. Why? I don't know. I was bored and it had nothing better to do. So, yeah. Now, if you tackle on those things, well, at least you know why I sit there and go, yeah, you probably fucking did it, but can't prove it. Not with the case that they brought. And to be honest with you, I don't buy the bullshit story that they give us in regards to certain reasons why they didn't do this or that or the other. Well, it just cost too much money. Didn't y'all spend $19,000 for the defense to go get a fucking picture from another state that was only digital in the first place? Meaning that it exists on the internet and isn't a hard copy? The motherfucker couldn't just email it to you? Ask me for a friend. This is what I'm talking about. They sat back and sit there and just let all this money get fucking wasted. And then when it came to very important fucking details, I don't care if it's up an inch or two. I don't fucking care. It gives you an estimated average within 3 or so inches of this person's side of that. And in this regards, that measurement is massively fucking important. Because if you're going to tell me some fucking random number of massive amount of dudes that are short, stocky, that white and fucking that have a height range of between 5'4" and 5'5" or so. It's just at the fucking trails that day at that exact time. No, that's bullshit. I don't care what you say. I mean, I think they said in the estimated time a couple hours or whatever. I think they had said 77 people. They didn't tell us who all they were, but they said 77 people were estimated to be there. Now, I'm not saying somebody couldn't sneak in or whatever else, right? But how many people do you think of that 77 that we do know of match that fucking description? You get what I'm saying? So I wanted to be clear. One thing I'm talking about, then I'm going to talk about the other thing. And I know one of y'all, all y'all going to mostly hate about the second part of it. I'm going to tell you how they should have done their jobs. I'm going to tell you if they had done their jobs correctly, what they would have had. Because not only did they destroy interviews and lose this and accidentally let other things get destroyed, it might have, I mean, according to rumor, they just lost some fucking evidence along the way. Yeah. I don't know about that. Yeah. I'm also going to explain a lot of things for both sides. And yeah. And I'm not saying that, yeah, yeah, I mean, that even though it was then proven after the fact whose DNA was in whatever on Abby or whatever and whose it was and all this other stuff. And let's not even get me started on the fact of everybody keeps saying Richard Allen's DNA was not found at the scene. All right. Once we get to that point, first I'm going to explain something about crime scene 101. Okay. And that first rule that they teach you about crime scenes. Okay. Then I'm going to tell you a little kind of humorous fact that was told to me by a few friends of mine once they actually went out to the Delphi murder scene. And if I even need to, which I would hope at this point that we were all intelligent enough to know this fact, but if I got to explain the rest of it to you, I guess I can. No big deal. Well, we do know that there's you can tell by hair that has root and everything else that there is a DNA familial match between a relative and said victim that you can't tell through just the testing of certain things, which is what they did say that it was probably a family member of the victim, even though it was on Abby, I think not Libby, but they met Libby at the time. So what they're basically saying is the hair match to somebody that's biologically related to a female biologically related to Libby German. So that's why, and I'm not sure. I thought they at the time during trial that they stopped the test, Kelsey, but I'm not going to trust that fact either because both sides are just lying their asses off at this point. They said it was probably. Yeah, yeah, I gotta remember stuff like and about and probably. These are terms that are thrown around a lot in many instances, um, to kind of to say it's like yeah, it's probably it could be a sister they don't have. Well, see, when DNA is tested in hair follicles or whatever, it depends on the kind of DNA test they're given. You know, if the DNA test they have been given was mitochondrial, now mitochondrial will literally locate and identify the mother and the father of the person that they're that hair is being tested. Now, if they had mitochondrial DNA tested, that hair they would have found that the mother was the same mother that matched Libby's own mother. I don't know about the father because I'm not going to jump to any conclusions, but it basically would have came up with still kind of unidentified, but to the fact of it, it would have been like, well, we know her mom is Libby's mom, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I wasn't. I do believe that they had to like retest it or do something like that or some shit during the trial. But then again, since we couldn't watch it, I'm not necessarily sure of that. Yeah. But since Libby only has one sister, and they knew it was female, and like I said, it might have been tested mitochondrial wise, and it would have been either Libby's sister or half sister. And if she only has one sister, that's probably why they're saying it has to be Kelsey's. So in a way, that part of it makes sense. But what part of it doesn't make sense is why the girls had a second DNA source that they didn't have on the. Uh, they couldn't even do. They had a partial profile. They couldn't match it to anything as they knew of, and that it might possibly have come from either a searcher or a crime scene investigator or something like that. But they didn't offer any explanation about where it came from. As in, hey, well, it could have came from. I'm sorry, I could have won $1 million. Isn't the same as I got 50,000. Okay, so unless you're gonna show us somebody that we can identify as a possible person, this, that, and the other, or why it's where it is, then shut the fuck up. Did you actually think they were gonna test that shit? And there's stuff that the state's been saying for a long time now that just don't make any fucking sense. I mean, it does in the long run because they've been saying all along, we have DNA. We have DNA. We have DNA. Okay, now we have a half a sample and fucking hair that probably belonged to Kelsey. Was that the DNA y'all were talking about? Really? You sounded so fucking confident when you said it earlier, bro. But I'm gonna tell you a few things about DNA when we get to that point. My bucket. Might as well start with DNA since we're already on there at this point. All right, yeah. As I just now said, if the DNA was tested mitochondrial, now they could eliminate the source up to a certain extent and give you one of those. It's 1 in 1 billion, or 1 in 1 million, or 150,000, or some bullshit. But like I said, I wasn't there. I'm not going to actually pretend to claim I know what was on there, what wasn't, and what they said or what they didn't. But because often people fucking do that. Now, I'm going to tell you all about Crime Scene 101. And even the stalkers, you are going to learn something today. Yay. I know. I know. I know. See, they have male DNA, the partial profile. That's what I'm talking about. That was taken off the girls' bodies in very not so very nice areas or whatever. The sample itself, I want to say, is indicative of somebody with either a vasectomy or somebody that has had problems such as maybe testicular cancer or something along the lines. Because if I remember, its explanation was the heads of the sperm were cut off from the tails. Now, well, to test that, they would have to, I don't know, get sperm up them. I'm not sure what they have to do that, but see, there's, how do I put this? You can test a partial DNA sample, right? When it's only partial, it cannot be used to convict anybody. That is fact. But it can be used to eliminate suspects. But here's the issue with that too. It wasn't. They said it wasn't Richard Allen's. Period. So somebody either found the victim. So it becomes either a searcher accidentally got some of their DNA on the girls at a very bad spot, or B, because of the transfer of DNA by clothes, maybe from the girl's house or something like that. Um, and then there's a real, and I want to make this clear. This is so fucking rare. So fucking rare. So I would not even against the first two, or the fact that maybe just he didn't do it. It's even rarer than all three of those probably put together. Now there are people in this world because of multiple reasons that have multiple DNA types in their one body. Now that sounds crazy, but yes, there are people that have multiple DNA samples, as in blood types and everything else, inside their body. And I'm going to give you a quick, brief explanation why. We'll probably do a little bigger episode on it at some point so you understand what it is. Now, these people, well, for one, somebody can do it synthetically, which I have heard about a rape case in the past where a dentist, I think it was, or a doctor who was raping patients and he was about to get caught and he knew it. So what he did was he literally cut open in little spot on his arm and inserted a fake a tube with somebody else's blood into his arm. I know it sounds crazy, but he did do this. So when they took the blood sample, he said, "Oh, don't worry, I'll do it for you. You just got to watch, right?" And he put the needle right into that little tube that was inserted into his arm, and it withdrew the blood from it. Yeah, too good to come on my show, but you go on Chibi's show. I should ban you, TJ. No, I'm just kidding. But yes, in the past, do know a rapist actually went as far as to insert a tube into his own arm, like cut himself open, insert this long tube into his own arm full of other people's blood. No joke. Which would be a technical way that you could, in fact, have two DNA samples inside your body. Right? Right. Now, there is an actual, not synthetic way, I guess you would say it, a biological or natural way to have more than one DNA sample. You can if you want. I was just joking around with you. But now, and the term in biology is defined as a chimera. Now, a chimera, by multiple reasons why, possibly a person could be a chimera by they had a twin in the womb, and the twin died, and they consumed the fetus of their own sibling. You know what I mean? Thus, then they would have more than one DNA sample. But I'm pretty sure in the case of that situation with the twins, uh, each DNA would have been pretty kind of similar to the other one. You know what I mean? So that one, I probably would not chuck that up to Delphi or whatever. I wouldn't check off any of them, to be honest. But still, now the second way to get this is like, say, if you have cancer or something like that, and you have to get a bone marrow transplant, and rare instances, mind you, I want you to understand this is even rarer, that not the bone marrow transplant, that we have this happen because of the bone marrow transplant, but it has happened in the past because of the second DNA source of the bone marrow being introduced into your body, into your system, and everything like that. It is a possible logical reason why your body would have a second DNA source. And I want to explain also what that means. Like, say, if you had roots at the end of your hair and they tested that mitochondrially or something way else, that DNA would be separate from the DNA from your mouth if you were to spit on the ground, etc. And in very rare instances, your blood might have a separate DNA just the same, and sperm, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, in the rare instances that maybe Richard Allen is some weirdo chimera thing with multiple different types of DNA, well, yeah. But since we're still talking about DNA, now here's the fun part. There is no Richard Allen DNA at the scene. Rule one about crime scene evidence and all this other investigation and all that stuff. As Mr. Steve made it lovely. I love Mr. Steve, by the way. True Crime Web is great. But he made sure and makes sure everybody does know that the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. And basically, what that rule is, just because you can't prove using DNA or other means that some suspect was there or not, doesn't mean they were or were not there. Now, I will also tell you that in less than 11% of all the cases reported to the FBI, does a suspect leave their DNA at a crime scene? These are all facts that I've now given you. So just because, and oh, I got one more too. So yeah, just because somebody says, well, his DNA is not at the scene, that does prove nothing. 11%, guys. 11% of suspects, you know? Oh no, there's different ways. Yeah. You can the bone marrow transplant and everything else. Oh yeah, chimerism with the twins. It and remember, these aren't for sure. Like say you can have 10 sets of twins that got eaten by their sibling in the womb in front of you. And not all twins are going to have that. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm serious. If you look it up, you'll see what I'm talking about. But in the rare instances, not all, that these events happen, this is where we get this term from that makes them a chimera. And the chimera is basically a word that, when defined, means that the person has either the characteristics, traits, or biological of more than one um, subject or animal or whatever. I mean, if you remember correctly, back if you've seen the anime like Full Metal Alchemist, the doctor that the scientist that turned his daughter into a half monster, half kid, but she still understood things like she was a kid. She was called the Chimera too in the show. That's what I'm talking about. And yes, there are different types of also parasitic twins and everything else as well. There are ways that yes, that DNA could be his, but they're very rare. I want to make that clear. It is much more just far more likely that well, see, that's where it causes a problem. Um, well, if it's not his DNA, then who is it? And were they with him? Because he doesn't seem like the person who's going to run around sharing his, I don't know, crimes with a buddy or this, that, and the other. But that's a whole different instance of the matter. You know, that's something else I will say. Everything about this crime, as I can see it, and I've done a lot of research in a lot of cases, psychologically and everything else. This seems like a case that was done by one person. Down to even the crime scene photos, you can see marks in certain areas of the crime scene photos that seem to be kind of indicative of somebody moving the victim, but they're on one side of the body and not the other. Catch my drift? It would mean like somebody's dragging them from one side. Now, if you had help, don't you think that I don't know, make them help you carry the weight? I guess. So, and yet again, I did say I do believe that they got the right guy. They just didn't prove it. And the reason I say that is, well, I mean, yeah, he doesn't seem the type to have help. It just doesn't make any sense. So that bothers me. Yeah, but that would mean somebody had to find the bodies after that and do some really gross looking things on it because we are talking sperm, by the way. This isn't spit, it isn't blood, it isn't hair roots, it's sperm. Plain out and simply fucking sperm. I want to make that clear. And as I said, there was something wrong with the sperm that the head was cut off from the rest of its body, from the tail. Um, it's usually somebody with some sort of health problem or something happens in the course of after the DNA is left that caused it to do this whatever weird thing to it. And yeah, in some instances, we have vasectomies that cause that. Read about people with testicular cancer that had the same thing happen by the radiation. So each way is explainable, but it's not really anything that should have helped the state, in my opinion, at all. Because, and yeah, a random searcher after whoever killed them left could have easily just walked up, saw some dead girls, and I don't know, link their meat to it. I guess it's just fucked up. But hey, anything's possible in the end, right? And that's fact. No, no, no. The best way I can explain it, the sperm heads were there, the sperm tails were there. They were just. I think the word that even they even used was like beheaded or some shit, decapitated or something. Yeah, the term they used was like very, very like whoa. Oh, I don't see fish or whatever, but yeah. That's why I'm pointing it out. Even though these methods or these things I've said thus far, after I did say, in fact, that the DNA wasn't Richard Allen's, as I know of it. Yes, there's very fucking rare shit. Really rare. Well, the tail is okay. Think of a tadpole. That's basically what sperm kind of resemble a tadpole. And a tadpole is basically a head with a tail attached, right? Now imagine if you took a tadpole and you cut that motherfucker right in half. Yeah. Now, basically, it means that the sperm were all dead. Thus, no matter what, that sperm couldn't get somebody pregnant. Now you see why we bring up things like the radiation causing testicular cancer or something like that, or a vasectomy. Yeah, because people with vasectomies still get off, so they still shoot sperm. But the only difference is that sperm is dead and everything else by the time it comes out. So that fact would still jive in that situation. I don't know if Richard Allen has had a vasectomy or testicular cancer or anything like that. I would have to look into it much, much more to find out if there were other more natural ways to for that, like maybe the being sterile caused that. I don't know, but none of that seems to fucking matter because in the end, it's not Richard Allen. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to actually see, and I've never seen anybody bring up it or do any lives unless they're just talking about the DNA, which is one thing. But you would think that these, what do they call it? The evidence itself would have had paperwork from the DNA people. So yeah, kind of makes you wonder why the defense didn't also hire a DNA specialist to come in there and to make sure that points made clear. I mean, a lot of people would say good things about the defense lawyers, but I'm sorry, I can name a fuckload of bad shit. I mean, can you believe that none of the witnesses actually legitimately identified Richard Allen himself as Rich Guy? You would think that they would drive that point home over and over and over again. I mean, amongst a million other things, but hey, if I don't have the time tonight to make everybody look fucking Rick Snays Jelly Belly. Did you see the new DNA info? Well, I definitely need to see that shit because I would need to go through it myself. I mean, because I'm tired of believing other people, and I'm the type that when I hear something, I want to go through. Oh wait, Brick Snake's jelly. Is that who I think it is? Because this seems like I don't know, kind of a bubble yum kind of thing. Way to name yourself, I guess, basically. And I know who bubble yum is, but who knows? That's what I'm saying. The defense should have drove that home. But for the most part, what I have said is true here. And these, things. I could have found better ways to explain it, but remember, I'm not sitting here and busting out textbooks and all that to do live. I'm just basically going after my mind. Nicole is a nurse. Yes. Am I doing a half-ass decent enough job, Nicole? At least I'd like to think I am. So yeah, there are rare, really fucking rare instances where such things can happen. But then that person would have to have something wrong with the junk that would cause all this decapitation of the head from basically what I would call a tail. On top of that, see, um, am I saying it's possible? No, definitely it's not possible. But in the fact of that they could already eliminate Richard Allen's blood type or whatever himself as a person that gave the DNA in the first place. Yeah, it's just a whole weird situation. Well, I'm just saying they kind of. I've seen sperm. Damn it, they look like tadpoles. Are you gonna tell me they don't? I will call you out on the bullshit right now because I've seen them. Okay, well, I give y'all links. I'm like, please, please, please come up here and give us a good logical reason why the heads would come off the scales and that's and all this other stuff. And I'm not the one who said it. The defense or whoever the hell or brought it up in trial literally said that the heads were decapitated because I remember that day and it was fucking weird because I had never heard of any such bullshit at that point as sperm heads being decapitated from their. They might not have said tails, but you got the point. You know what I'm saying? And Nicole, you can teach me about sex ed anytime you want, my love. Anytime. I'm down with it. I'm totally down for that. I surprised it took me longer to catch that one for a minute. Yeah, I'm pretty slow tonight. But yeah, there's many different reasons, blah, 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 blah. I don't know how to explain it. I'm not a fucking healthcare, blah, 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 blah. God. I swear, if I go through my shit later on and it's barely like a little bit off, but everything I say is still true, I'm still gonna talk mad shit about you, you daddy long legs motherfucker. Okay. So yeah, there's a small percentage of reasons for one that still could be his DNA, even though it's mostly unlikely that it was his DNA. It still could have been. Apparently I'm not smart enough to talk about such things, but yeah. How is this chat too hard to follow? It's just Nicole talking shit about me. What are you talking about? But yeah, the DNA suggests that it wasn't Rick Allen, but that's not a for sure thing. And then for multiple reasons, after that, it's still, you know, didn't I just say or some other health reason? So yeah, a sterile person could indeed, in fact, have the decapitated sperm. There you go. Yeah. I didn't do that. I'm gonna laugh when you actually try to go live sometime and it does it. I'm gonna just sit here and talk crap. Okay. Yay. Okay. So yeah, we don't have Richard Allen's DNA at the scene, unless for one of those million different reasons that I don't feel like explaining anymore. Because Miss Correcto was over here trying to correct everything I said. So, yeah. But yeah, it could be a very rare thing or whatever, and it might be his. We know he's not sterile or probably doesn't have a genetic fucking. I mean, we don't know his health records. So, yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's what I was going to say. We also know that he has a kid. Well, we don't know if she's his, right? I mean, we do know if Richard Allen killed the 2 girls that day, that somebody set him off with a trigger event, and we don't know what that trigger event happened to be, but I believe I only have 2, 2 people that would give me a good enough reason why he would be that upset to go do something like that, and one would be his mother, and the other one would be his wife or his daughter. Okay, we'll use all 3. Why not? 'Cause no matter what anybody says, everything I know, every fucking thing I know about psychology, and I'm not no fucking PSYD or anything like that, FYI. But whoever did that, the murders, whether it be yeah, 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 had a severe freaking, at that moment at least, hatred because of some sort of event or something like that. And women, we know how he talked to Betsy Blair, which we know how he made nasty faces towards the little girls up front, right? And then he murdered Libby and Abby. So whoever this is, you can love your mother all you want. That's not saying she didn't do something that upset him so badly at that moment in time. I'm not saying I know who it is. I don't. I don't at all. I've always said, as well as everything else, that if even Richard Allen did this, it was because a woman in his life somehow triggered it. I don't know how, and I don't know why, and I'm not blaming them for it. I'm just saying mostly crimes like this occur when there's like a triggering event that causes it. And then your killers will, if they can't kill the people they want to kill, they'll find a surrogate more often than not that represents the person that they want to kill or whatever. Ted Bundy had a fiance that broke up with him. She had pretty long, straight brown hair. If you notice, most of his victims after that such looked kind of like her. Brown hair, et cetera, et cetera. Sam Berkowitz went after a certain type of specific haired girl victim each time. You know, this is the thing, and I'm not trying to compare him to serials. It's just that's what I know most of all that you guys would know. I mean, it's like, you know, and yeah. But a grudge is one thing, but I don't like saying this shit. Okay, have you at least seen the drawing diagrams of the wounds that was left on the girls, right? Well, I mean, if you had a grudge to me, it would take the world's fucking nastiest grudge to leave those kind of fucking wounds on Libby's neck that was left. Sorry, just saying. I'm gonna say damn near a quarter of her neck was missing. That's how many. There's like 4 large gaping gouges removed. What wounds? The killer left holes in her neck, dude, right around the arteries. Fucking holes. Like silver dollar, yeah, like a quarter to silver dollar shaped holes were cut. Uh, I'm guessing because it's the easiest way to kill somebody that you know it's going to work. And Abby was also attacked in the news. They were very, yeah, they were bad, yo. Trust me on that. Very bad. This was not skillful. Okay. Libby, I'm trying to remember because, like I said, I would have to see an autopsy report because Libby wasn't the one I remember really. I think there were, yes, there was like scratches and shit on her hands. But they don't want to say those are defensive wounds, but there's many reasons why they could be on there also. And so did Abby. So while they didn't have defensive wounds per se, there were other injuries to different parts of their body. Oh, I know. That's yeah. And then yeah. Abby also had cuts on her hand. She also had a large. I don't want to say large, but maybe about the size of a penny, I guess. Kind of cut trying to think of the exact word, not like gash, because it's like almost like rug burn kind of like thing. Yeah. Okay. When they say that she hasn't had injuries or no other injuries, they're telling you that there's nothing that normally they would be having to treat for or whatever else. There were other scratches, marks, and wounds, just smaller on them. Y'all realize that, right? There were, in fact, other injuries, as I would call it. If you've seen the photos, you'd know that Libby had a mark on her chin that was like about the size of a penny, because you could see the blood and stuff there from maybe. Come on, healthcare person. Yeah, she had a mark on her chin, and the first thing I thought was asking everybody else, I'm like, did she have any blunt force trauma? But everybody just, I can't remember exactly what everybody else said, but it was going back and forth at the time because, I noticed it right away. Because everybody's like, no, there's no defensive wounds and everything else. I'm like, why the fuck is her chin fucked up then, bro? And yes, they had scratches on their hands and everything else. I don't know how. I'm not going to claim that. Could it have come from the dragging? Sure. Does that mean they were still alive? I don't fucking know. I wasn't there. What did you need to know? Oh, like a term for a small. I guess it's just basically a wound. Because Libby, or no, Abby had this wound on her chin, almost like where you would punch somebody. It's about the size of a penny, but it's not a scratch, a gash, or anything like that. I just trying to think of what the term was. Huh? I don't. For them to say she had no defensive wounds and definitively say that, I don't buy it. It's bullshit because the hands are both of their hands look like they have scratches on them. I seen the fucking pictures, and her chin had a nice uh, about a penny sized fucking wound of some sort on it as well. So yeah, yeah, yeah. They initially thought that someone had taped their mouth, but the adhesive or whatever the fuck it was didn't mean certain things. But like I said, I was just trying to talk about the reason why uh, or the bad case because well, that doesn't really. There we go. Thank you, abrasion. So a lot of the shit that people hear that either came here after the trials and the trial and all that stuff isn't. I can't really say it's true. I can't really say it's not true. We don't know if there's no defensive wounds. Now that we know the weapon was a box cutter, probably. Well, those scratches on their hands could mean all kinds of shit, right? Because we're not looking for large fucking nasty wounds and shit that a knife or something else would do, right? We're looking for cuts from a fucking razor blade. That's different. Yeah. So we don't know if his DNA was at the scene or not, as well. As the last point I'm trying to make when it comes to DNA about this crime, and that is the fact of after everything we have seen thus far in Delphi and Burger Chef and well, I mean, many crimes. Uh, I've seen Indiana fuck up. Are we gonna? Let me make something clear. Um, Mr. Steve and those who you don't like Ruckus, deal with it. He's my friend, so shut the fuck up. Okay. Ruckus and Mr. Steve went out to the murder site of the Delphi murders, right? They sprayed that shit luminol everywhere there, right? And then they busted out the lights and shit. And care to take a guess what the place looked like? It lit up like a fucking holiday, and shit is what I will say. Oh, I mean, that's, this is just about Rick Allen for now. Just Rick Allen. But, I don't believe that that the DNA that was found on them was his. I'm going to make that clear. I'm not saying somebody didn't find the bodies and jerk off. I'm not saying the DNA wasn't there and somehow already. I'm not saying it came from closure. It didn't. I'm just going to say personally, I don't think it was his. Period. Well, I actually talk about the if you're talking about the crime scene pictures, I'll I'll actually talk about this after I finish this one thought. I will talk about what I saw and whatever else because it's not going to be much, but there's certain things that just were weird as fuck to me about it. So yeah. Um, well, as I said, when Mr. Steve and them hit the lights on the whole area, it lit up like a motherfucker, which meant there was DNA all over the place. Now, are we really gonna say the motherfuckers that couldn't remember to or think that might be a good idea to take the stakes for what was it, like a week or more? Actually tested every bit of that DNA from every spot to make sure or not that Rick Allen's DNA was there at the scene? I mean, we did know that also there was a massive pool of blood there. And unless you're going to find a way to separate all that DNA, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. So, do we really honestly know if his DNA was there or not? Personally, I'd like to say is no, we don't. We have no fucking clue. It definitely could have been there, and I don't trust anybody that works for Dean or for Indiana. Period. At this point anymore. So, yeah. So I don't think that one factor goes either way. Hilarious. And the rest of you in this just sat around and watched him jerk off on the girls. That's hot, bro. Grow up. But at the same time, I'm not here to talk about bullshit suspects that couldn't be there because they were elsewhere on camera and shit. Because just like Go, I'm going to say, I'm sorry, this is Charles's podcast, and we're only going to talk about suspects that actually could have been there. Yeah. Okay, moving on. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. Okay, this is what I saw in the crime scene photos. Like I said, there was a small abrasion on Abby's chin. Yeah, there was some odd stuff on. Like, how do I put this? Yeah, it kind of looked like something had been put on her face or something. It wasn't there anymore, but it kind of looked like there was one at one point. So I don't know. Take it as you will. The hands that you could see, yeah, you could see little cuts and all that. Where they came from, I don't fucking know. I'm not going to claim to them. So please, take it as you will. I'm just telling you what I saw. Um, Now, the part that really seemed fucking odd to me, and it still seems odd to me. Okay, um, the lack of blood on the bodies themselves. I mean, you would think. I was talking to the loons afterwards because it almost seemed like that somebody had edited the photos on a computer or something to kind of like remove. I'm not saying that's what they did, and it would be the first ever case I've ever seen them do that if they actually did. And I would like to fucking ask somebody why they would do that because none of the other cases did. But it almost seemed like blood was edited out of video or pictures. It's almost what it seemed like. Um, and mind you, certain parts of the girl's body were also made blurry because Libby was nude and stuff. Now, I'm not going to say if the state did that, or the defense did that, or if the people that released the pictures did that. I don't know. I'm not going to claim to know, but if somebody added the blurry shit to it, then obviously somebody edited the pictures, and it just seemed like there were a little bit more edits than you'd think. That's all I'm saying. Because even if the girls were bled dry and stuff, right? Uh, I think there would have still been quite a bit of it still left on their skin. Yeah, it's weird. It's almost like the videos were like PG-13, which makes me think that somebody like the defense or even the state knew they were going to get it out, so they kind of like got him, gave him a lower rating. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. There's like a lot of ways to explain these things, but I don't know the answer to it, so I'm not going to claim to know the answer to it. Scrambled eggs. Huh? Yeah, you can get that. You all have defective sperm. Yeah, your mom's told me. But yeah, pretty sure that covers DNA, right? Oh, and since we need to say it, certain DNA from people and suspects that people won't stop talking about was not found at the scene. Thank you very much. That is all. Okay, moving on. Now, um, I could talk about the unspent round next, but I'm having too much fun. I think I want to any kind of subject that kind of makes me able to go, haha, you're stupid. I'd like to put it off because I already just had one I can do that with, so I'm going to start with the second one. Confessions. Now the confessions are a little bit odd here, because I am going to talk about them, even though I would not allow them in court. I want to make that apparently clear. And no, I don't care what dumb bitch says what. Having an iPad does not make you not be tortured. Just saying. Just saying. I mean, for all we know, they took his Wi-Fi away, right? Like, oh no! But seriously. Yeah, that's the fucking dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. And that was just in the last week or so. But yeah, whatever. Um, Yeah, there's a reason we have the Geneva Convention, and basically we have to have some sort of idiot sit there and tell us that we shouldn't do this or we shouldn't do that because it's not very nice and causes bad things to happen. Yeah. So when they tell us that, I don't know, locking people away by themselves for massively long periods of time might fuck them up psychologically. I don't know. I mean, why have the list at all if we're just not going to listen to it when we don't feel like it? Just asking. So they're sitting there telling us to isolate somebody for long ass periods of time. It's bad for their mental health and can cause psychological breakdowns. Can we just, it's either let us commit war crimes happily or stop. Yeah, it sounds like they're just trying to change the rules whenever they fucking please. But that's just my opinion. Yeah, yeah, if somebody had done this to an American or blah blah blah, and they had heard about it, you'd be like hearing on the news, "Oh my God, they locked him away by himself, right? Yeah!" And crap. Everybody would have a shit fit. But since the guy's, quite possibly killed two girls, oh no, sir. Oh, well, you can't. Well, it's okay. She had an iPad or a pencil or some paper or something. They just make a fucking shit as they go along. It's like, okay, so you mean a chirp device? I'm guessing, kind of iPad, which you know, I'm not even going to talk about that because it's just stupid. Okay, period. You can't keep people locked up by themselves for massively long periods of time. I don't need the Geneva Convention or whatever. They'll fucking go nuts, okay? People will go nuts. Most people need to be around other people or they will go nuts. It happens every fucking day. It's common sense. Yeah. You could have locked them in a way, some sort of isolation that I actually still had him be able to talk to somebody here and there. And let's not even get fucking started on why the fuck was he in prison? Now I get it in some situations in certain areas or whatever that some suspects in crimes have to go to somewhere that's like a prison or a prison because for many different reasons. Yeah, you get what I'm saying, right? There was county jails like next to Carroll County and stuff, closer than this fucking prison was. So I'm not even gonna start. Everybody, I've researched hundreds of thousands of murders, most of which I'd say about 60 to 70% of them have actually been solved. Now, as I said, in very rare instances, these things happen, but they're for pretty good reasons. I don't see that explanation here. Just saying. That's my own personal opinion. If they're telling us that they did it to keep him safer, well, is it keeping him safer? Just, I don't know, blocking him away from people? Couldn't we just, I don't know, build him his own fucking prison and just toss him in there? That's basically what you kind of did. One room, make sure he's good in there by himself forever. And it would probably take a seriously antisocial kind of type person to not start going a little derp by that point. I hate people a lot most of the time. Okay, and I think I'd be kind of nutty at that point too. I'm just saying, at least kind of. But I'm not even going to get into all the psychological things he did while he was, yeah. Even though they amused me, I'm sorry, but um, hmm, trying to think of what other evidence they had against Richard Allen. Oh, okay. There's a lot of different small forms of evidence that kind of mildly point towards Richard Allen's direction. But then we have to factor into the actual instructions that were given to the jury by Judge Gull herself. And that would be if there are two logical explanations for any piece of evidence that go for the state and defense, then your job as the jury is to rule in favor of the defense. She made that abundantly clear. She said it very specifically. Then I heard jury members, or at least a member of the jury, do an interview where, in fact, she would talk about some sort of evidence that had a logical explanation that would. Do I need to have to explain this? It's like they all decided they were like, yeah, we ain't listening to that bitch. We do what we want. That's what it seemed like to me. I don't understand it. Okay, boohoo. Well, okay. Get it together. Okay, how about y'all shut the fuck up when I tell you I didn't do anything out of the ordinary, all right? I made a title, I picked the time, I hit start. If they're doing something to work on fucking StreamYard or YouTube, that's not my fault. Well, then stop telling me to change shit I can't change. That's what I'm saying, home slash. Because you think I don't, I'm not, do I look like Diana or one of these other crackheads that goes forward and put banners and all this other shit all over the damn live? Hell no. Ask me how to do something in StreamYard. I don't fucking know. Unless it's like type in my name or type in the title and the thingy, clicking the thingy. That's it. That's it. I don't do shit, motherfucker. The fact that you somehow think I chose some weird setting to do this? Oh my lord, you just don't know me. I ain't do shit, bro. You lucky you get a title. I should. I actually. What did the title say? Oh yeah, because the live had a title I had up before this. Literally said, "It's Charles, motherfuckers," or and some. I do whatever I want, or I can't remember what it was. Oh, it said, "Tune in." I know the answers, or something because I banged your mom, or so, I can't remember what it was. Yeah, I don't give a fuck, man. Uh, the fact that you think that I'm caring up about the setting up of this thing, um, yeah, I don't get on camera. Not that I care not to, I just don't. Actually, I might tonight, but we'll see. Um, hmm. Yeah, everybody always kept saying it was so nice that I had the link to Hebby's GoFundMe at the bottom of my lives for the longest time, and they don't seem to realize. You know what? I had that because we had a thing set up by Diana that if you click that one thing, it would just always be there. And since that one thing also had everything else I needed, I would just click that every time. Seriously, straight up. That's it, it would just be on there. Name them what? I can't read it because there's money in the way. Man, Cathy, you're so fucking weird. Speaking of which, yeah. Shh. I have two streams running. Okay, cool. Does the other one say something like motherfuckers and then like something like I do what I want? I hope so. Cathy. Yeah. You would think it was clever. I don't know. I deleted the one link and then I started. I was just not paying attention to that. It's Chibi, and Chibi thinks she's a minion, so we don't listen to minions. You know how it goes. Well, Chibi, it's your job as a minion to make sure that stuff like that doesn't happen. You're fired, by the way. But yeah, can't torture people and then use their confessions as evidence. Big no no. All right, I'm glad we're all clear on that. Okay. Well, even if there's two streams running at the same time, I can't end one. Well, what I'm telling you is, how am I supposed to end one if StreamYard is not showing two exists? My opinion doesn't change, dumb shits. You're not missing the point. And can y'all ban that thing? I don't let harlots and stalkers in my show. Yeah, yeah. And there is, I'm not saying anything different than I've said at all. I literally say he probably did it. Which part of that do you not listen about, you dumb fucking cunts? Yeah, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna call you names too, because you're dumb fucking cunts. What part do you not understand? He's probably fucking guilty. What part of the beginning of the lab where I said I'm gonna explain why he's probably guilty, and the evidence does in fact point to that. No, but some dumb cunt in fucking Arkansas can't fucking pay attention because she's too stupid. God. Oh, I'm done being nice, y'all. FYI. They come up in my shit, they gonna hear it. Period. Well, it's not set up that way. I added the title, blah blah blah. That's it. I don't know if they're fucking with StreamYard or whatever. I don't know. And hey, if you want to make everybody believe that somehow, some way, everybody else is stalking you on every other channel, maybe let me know when I have actually been on your channel. Oh, because I haven't. Damn, that sucks. Mm. But how come I got to ban you from every fucking one of my channels? Or every live, I have to ban you. I'm angry because the same psychotic bitch has been stalking me for 2 years, and I have to put up with the shit on my friends' channels when they should have banned her a long time ago. Is that not a good enough reason to be angry? Why does everybody think, oh my God, how hard is it to go back? For example, during the trial, you can literally hear a live we did on Don't Hate Create. The state did a shitty job. The cops did a fucking even shittier job. I've been saying this all along, and if you think you've heard different out of my mouth, what crack have you been smoking? That's all I'd love to say. Anybody here that thinks the cops did good, get the fuck out of true crime. Because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. No, she is in love with Charles, and it's fucking disgusting. Now, anybody that thinks the state did a good job, okay, I will say that they did a better job than the defense did. Yes, the state did better than the defense did because as a defense, you're literally supposed to attack each and every piece of evidence that makes your what's the word I'm looking for? Client look bad. Now, did they do that? No. And then we have the jury, which, yeah, every word I've said now is correct on what they were supposed to do and what they weren't supposed to do. And we're not done yet. And we do have an interview with fucking murder shits where the damn jury's talking about shit they probably shouldn't have been allowed to see in the first place. If anybody's trying to say otherwise, I'm sorry, you're full of shit. But after I'm done destroying the state's case, don't worry. I'm going to thoroughly explain why, and don't disband anybody because they're not agreeing with me. And whoever that other person was, they can stay. They asked a question. I have not changed my mind. There's still enough there that in, I don't know, 3 weeks, Richard Allen would have been my main suspect. The fact that it took them 9 years to reach the same thing I probably would have done in 3 weeks, that's why we're here, y'all. That's the point of the fucking matter. And anybody that calls that this case uh, beyond a reasonable doubt that he was guilty, please come up here and you tell me how. I would love to know. Because from the confessions, I'll destroy your confessions very quickly with actual facts. And then if you can explain those away, I'm going to destroy the unspent round with actual facts. If you can explain that away, well, really, you're starting to run out of fucking evidence because your big bad suspect. Uh, what evidence you really have? But the things that I'm going to point out myself, and are you going to tell me that that's beyond the reasonable doubt? Because I'm sorry, no, it's not. I mean, we're living in a world where fucking Casey Anthony and OJ fucking Simpson's cases, they were found not guilty. But you're going to tell me there's more evidence against. This makes my head hurt. There's more evidence against those people than Richard Allen had against him. And somehow you'll feel, I get you think that he's guilty, and I get you're on a side that thinks he's guilty, so you're going along with what they say. I get it. I don't do that. I do what the fuck I want. I need actual proof. You can't just, run with the same group whenever you want and just to believe what everybody says, and somehow nobody's ever going to call you out on the bullshit. You just can't do it. I'm sorry. If please, everybody and anybody that thinks he's guilty, I'd love to hear your good logical explanation as to why that he's guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, based only on the legitimate evidence the state should have been allowed to use. Anytime, any day. And if you want to use the confessions, I'll even let you use the confessions. But if I start breaking apart your confessions and saying, oh, what about that part of that confession? That's bullshit. Well, what you can do then? And you want to use the infinite round? Cool. And then I can use you a million different reasons why that's bullshit too. Trust me, motherfuckers. I didn't sit on my ass and let some creator tell me what I wanted to hear until I heard what I want to go with. I did the work. I know the state side. I know the defense's fucking side. And I know the bullshit of both of them. Because I've always been on my own fucking side. No matter where I seem to rule my opinion. No, 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 no. I do what the fuck I want and fuck everybody else in your fucking opinions. That's been the Charles side, and it's always been the Charles side, and I've never changed my fucking opinion. God. As I said, shoot back to the past. There's lives, there's recorded proof of everything I'm saying now. Don't hate creates first live. Me, as the trial's going on with others, calling them out on the bullshit. And it wasn't even done yet. So where's this changing of the mind from? Oh, I forgot. Y'all just too go lazy to go. You hear what you want. If I somehow make a point on a live for one side, you think, oh, he's on their side now. No, bitch, I'm doing what y'all motherfuckers should have been doing. I shouldn't have to tell you this shit. Do your job, you fucking lazy fucks. God. The fact y'all don't know this is just sad. And the fact that you think you actually understand the case, well, that's a lot about you, not about me. I'll tell you that much. To convict somebody and sentence them to life in prison, the least you can do is literally take everything and anything and learn it from both sides of the story before coming to a conclusion based on that. Oh, what the 99% of y'all fuckers didn't do. You got some friends on one side, you decided, hey, this place is cool. And you just stopped. You didn't go any farther. You just listened to what people tell you. Didn't check it, didn't make sure it was true, didn't do any of that. No, that's not how I learn. I dig and I dig and I fucking dig through things and I look and I look. Yes, exactly. But you got to go beyond that because what if they're lying to you? What if what they're telling you is just not true? You know, you're putting trust in people, and then people walk around saying they have trust issues with people, but they don't trust their creator. It's like, bro, we ain't even got no degrees. We ain't got this. We ain't got that. I'm like, like me. I'm just sitting here talking about shit. What makes me an expert on it? Not a fucking thing, right? That's what I'm saying. You can talk and dig. That's the right way to take it. You can conversate about things and all that, but check your people's bullshit. And if anybody thinks I've got a different opinion than what I've ever had, please provide some sort of proof of what you're saying because I know none of my lives on my list have anything but literally everything that I've said just now. I've said this in comments. I've said this. Yeah. Anybody that's got to say that about me, I'm just gonna say it's obviously you don't know me. I'm not saying that I feel Richard Allen is innocent. I'm saying they didn't prove their fucking job. Period. You must be on a Nick McClellan hype or something like that. Well, I do think Nick did a decent job. I do. He did better than the defense did. I will say that with garbage. And it's not his fault that he got garbage. That would be the police. That's their problem. And if you're going to tell me that you think the police did a good job here, get the fuck out. You're retarded. I don't have to put up with that. That's yeah. You either don't know shit about fucking yeah. Well, that's why I try. But still, I try to let y'all know to please go do that. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. When I hear something that I don't know from a creator, the first thing I do is I go track that shit down. I'm like, no, 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 or I keep it to myself until I start hearing it from multiple areas, and even then, I won't take it definitively until I have the actual proof in front of me that I can make verify. I'll sit there and go, well, we did hear, but who knows if that's actually true? Such and such, blah blah blah. I'll tell everybody that. But that's why I'm unpopular. Apparently, I don't kiss the defense's ass, and I don't kiss the fucking state's ass. Oh well, if you want to go listen to some fucking moron just because you like the people that hang out there, and they make you feel special and warm and fuzzy inside, okay, you go fucking do that. I'm here to fucking talk about a case. And whoever you're watching, I don't know. Like I said, what other experience do they have in the matter? I don't know. But like I said, almost a quarter of a million fucking murder cases I have researched for most of my life. And when I tell you something's fucking odd, it's fucking odd. I'm not gonna say it never happened because it has happened in rare occasions, you know. But yeah, there's nobody that did amazingly. I will say that Nick McClelland, of all people, fucked up the least. Okay, how about that? That's the best you're getting from me, and that's all I'll ever put it. Um, he was the most shocking thing about this case so far, actually, when it came to the trial, because I thought Slick Nick, with his hair and everything else, was just going to bungle everything up, and I was pleasantly surprised that he actually did know his shit. But it's not his fault. They gave him a bunch of bullshit. A state attorney can only do so much, correct? They can only rely on the evidence amount and all that and quality that's been given to them by the crime scene lab people in the labs and the police. Do I need to repeat myself? Ruckus and Mr. Steve went out to the scene, sprayed luminol everywhere, lit up like a fucking holiday. I don't know if I was a cop or something, and this man, I knew for sure that he probably did it, right? I'd go out there myself at the damn scene, and I don't care if I got to sit out there for 3 fucking solid days in a row testing shit. I'll do what has to be done. It's people's kids we're talking about here. Okay, if I'm the cops, I've already told people in lives a million times by now how I myself could have identified Richard Allen without even using his fucking tip, without it, in a couple of weeks by myself, probably. So what the fuck is going on with this? I heard a while ago there was like 40 something different law enforcement agencies that worked on Delphi. Well, what the fuck were they doing, bro? Which part? Let me think. Let me think. Let me think. It would have been like about 4 years later. Don't quote me on that exact year, but it was years later, guys. Years later, and it's still lit up somewhere. It could have been just as quickly as 2 or 3, but I'm gonna say 4, maybe 5. And yeah, it still would maybe not that long, but I'm not exactly sure on the win on that. So I'm not going to tell you I do know the win. But there was mass. They let the sticks out there for like over a week before going. Hey, we might need to go test those. Oh shit! Yeah, but Nick still did a better job than fucking Baldwin and Rossi. I'm sorry, he did. If you're thinking he doesn't, then you're just running along with the group, just like everybody else is. If you break down all the evidence that cannot be used in court because of various reasons by a goals explanation and instructions on what the jury should and shouldn't do, one, fruit of the poisonous tree, as in like the confessions and shit like that, because They should have been able to use it. Why? Because that was torture. Um, Bullshit science. Okay, certain aspects of the case can be taken as weak, very weak, circumstantial evidence. I'll possibly allow that. But for them to say that they definitively proved it was Richard Allen's gun that shot the bullet out, or unchambered, whatever the fuck you want to call it, chambered that gun, you test 5 guns. 2 were negative, 2 were inconclusive. Psst. Inconclusive means it could have came from that gun, FYI. But then Richard Allen's was perfect. Does that sound like amazing evidence to you guys? Anybody that is going to say that sounds like amazing evidence to you, just, I don't know, slap that person or whatever. Because, yeah, here we rely on, like, say, fingerprints. A real fingerprint expert that's doing their job, a good one at that. You can take 1,000 people and 1,000 different fingerprints, and they'll be able to damn near link each and every one up for each person to their fingerprint. You know, at least I want to say at least most of them are going to be right. Now ballistics, that's when no ballistics are when the striae and all that of the bullet are spanning around and around the chamber as the bullet's coming out. Okay, they can pick 1,000 guns and 1,000 bullets. They can match most of those up too. So, are we really going to say that this unspent round bullshit science, 5 guns tested, 2 negative, 2 could have done it, 1 definitely done it? That's our idea of like strong evidence now. No, that's not strong evidence. It's not. It's bullshit. The best I'm going to say I would ever allow is to say that they should have said, "Hey, he did in fact own a gun type that specifically might have ejected the bullet." Okay, I'll allow that. That's what I'll allow. I'm not. We're not to the bullet yet, guys. Remember, I said I'd explain as we go on. I'm still commenting on why the other people that keep talking about me changing my mind are fucking retarded. Because I don't know why they think I'm changed my mind at all. They obviously don't know who the fuck that I am or what I've been talking about in the first place. And yes, we'll get to that because not necessarily true. That's not necessarily true. We don't know. I mean, if that bullet was spent or unspent. And I'm going to explain why. Because I think the state might have fucked up again, but that's just my own personal opinion. Because I am going to tell you about the evidence when it comes to the unspent round. But I'm going to tell you about a theory I've had now. And anybody wants to pop up saying I didn't say this a long time ago are full of shit. Because once again, the lives exist to prove that. When I came out with a theory before there was any conviction or anything else, I said, well, basically, this is how I feel that Delphi happened. I don't even know if I had a suspect at that point. I don't even think I did. I see Jenny talking. I see Nicole. And that's it. No, I'm talking to them as they're there because I know they're there, dude. Just trust me, they're there. Just believe me, okay? They're always there because they're stalking me. Remember? Just assume they were there. I mean, look at the number here. Look at the numbers chatting, and we already know that fucking you know who's out there, and we already know that one person from each side's out there. So yeah, yeah. So when I'm speaking to them, I know they're listening. If not now, they will be later on. They're just recording it. Okay, I am single. I don't have a girlfriend. Girls are gross. They have cooties. Okay. I'm gonna end up a creepy cat guy. Yeah, an old creepy cat guy. That's what I'm gonna end up. Yep. But I guess I mean, what's left? I already explained about the DMA, and all I did was say, hey, kind of could possibly, yeah, blah blah. The confessions. Okay. Did I do the thing about the confessions yet, or what? Mm. And okay, yeah, the Geneva Convention, blah blah blah, torture, yada yada yada. Okay, so which confession was the one that actually was true? Because I mean, I know most people are going to say about the one with Brad Weber's possible win and blah blah blah. Well, that contradicts the fucking witness testimony. So wait a second, how can we use that confession? Oh wait, what? What do you mean, Charles? How does that contradict? Well, I'm sorry, you got I think it was 4 witnesses that see rich guy going back to his car 41 after 3. We have Brad Weber's van on a fucking ring cam at a specific time, and he could not have been home anytime before 44 or 45, I think it was, after 3. So wait a minute. How is this confession correct where he was interrupted by Brad Weber if Brad Weber couldn't have been fucking home? Because he wasn't there yet. I'm not saying he couldn't have noticed or seen Brick pulling up as he was already on his way out. That's possible, sure. Um, but this whole interrupting because of it doesn't jive. So what the fuck? Who's speaking? What are you talking about? Who's huh? I like being creepy, damn it. But yeah, okay. If we're gonna sit there and use the confessions, then you gotta find me the one that you can prove isn't bullshit somehow, some way. And you only get left with one. And well, like I said, I think I just made a big like, what the fuck if that's true. So which part's wrong? Your witness testimony, bro, or the confession? Because you can't be right on both. Somehow, some way, the state got to be though, because apparently both things were used as evidence. Oddly, hmm, ironic, right? It is what it is. How can you take the one confession as truth if your own evidence from your witnesses that's all kind of, oh man, this makes my head hurt. And the video, the ring video, also is evidence that you used. And that also makes the confession bullshit. It's just, you get what I'm saying now about the defensive fucking lawyers not doing shit? Each piece of evidence should have been destroyed as it was presented. I don't remember any of this being destroyed because some of these things, until I brought them up, I didn't hear shit about them from anybody else. You know, because I didn't even notice the whole witness thing until people like Peggy and all that did their little timeline things, and I'm like, wait a minute. How come they got 4 witnesses that spotted the bridge guy on his way back to his car at 41 after, but then ring cam and everything else and all that means he couldn't be? Oh, what the fuck? None of that makes sense. Not a bit of it. Yeah, because I would make an excellent fucking creepy ass cold fucking cat guy. And oh Lord, I don't even know. I mean, maybe I'll just do why the state's case fucked up tonight because I have a feeling um, it's going to take even longer to explain out why the state, why the defense fucked their case up. But I don't know. However, why I still feel like he probably did it. Yes, there is enough there to. Here, it's really this way. Mm, I don't think so. I mean, then I don't know what the jury said. I was not there. I don't know what they were attacking or whatever. But they weren't because I wasn't there. But I mean, yeah. I mean, just logically, without using all that, I'm just finding my own little ways of fucking eliminating things or downplaying them at least. And I'm hoping at the end there somebody reminds me of the magical piece of evidence I didn't notice on why they think he's guilty. Um, yeah, because I'm making lives, people. I'm a very prideful person and all that shit. So yeah, I wouldn't be up here running my mouth about something if I didn't actually fucking do something to read into it and all this other stuff. Uh, Fat chance, TJ. That would require us to be normal people. But yeah, if they attacked every single piece of evidence like everybody is saying or whatever that they did, then how the fuck was it still allowed to be used in the first place? There's just so much here that I just don't get, and I would hate to be the one to say, "Do I just need to say that all the people from Indiana are kind of incompetent?" And that doesn't sound very nice, and I don't want to sound like an asshole right now. I mean, think about it this way: the jury couldn't do their jobs right, the cops couldn't do their jobs right, the lawyers couldn't do their jobs right. Take it as a take it, take it however way you like. My examples of which of those I would take don't sound very good. Okay, yeah, it does literally seem like in its own way that maybe if we didn't have multiple cases where stuff like this happened, I would somehow come up to the this was just like a one off like oopsie, but no, 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 no. Yeah, there are multiple cases where stuff like this has occurred, and it's weird because it's always in Indiana. And well, yeah, I mean, I've researched plenty of cases where they say left and right. Yeah, they're like, yeah, fucking cops bungled shit. Not as bad as they bungled shit in fucking Indiana, though. That should be a phrase used on court TV where they just literally talk about a case getting bungled. And they're like, "Don't worry, guys, it wasn't bungled as bad as in Indiana." Now, oh, do I want to talk about that? Okay, I guess I might as well finish talking about the bullet because this is gonna be yeah, yeah. There's only there is a way technically, but I don't like to be. I should only talk about that tomorrow because then I guess I will. Okay, there is a way that it would have required firing the weapon to test the unspent bullet, and yes, if that way, which was my theory in the first place, fuckers, I don't want to hear anybody say a word about that. Oh, it wasn't mine or somebody else's. No, no, I had this theory like fucking 3 or 4 years ago. The second we found out about that bullet, that's when I had this theory. Period. Um, and the fact that we then found out that they could only get the matching marks on that bullet from fired shots made my theory sound even better. Now, I'm going to explain why in a second, but you're going to get left with thinking, did Indiana fuck up again? Or what? I don't know. But at this rate, maybe. Hmm. Let's do it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure maybe it's a multi-episode thing. There's nothing that I like better than making other people look stupid. There is, but there isn't. I wouldn't necessarily call. How do I put it? That would require the bullet to be an unspent round in the first place. But what if it wasn't? And we do have a bit of evidence that kind of, like I said, it, we have there's what I would call mild psychological evidence for one. I'm not even really going to count that though, but I will mention it when I bring it up. Second of all, there is evidence by other things that were on people at the scene. So yeah, is there a chance that they're a very weird way an unspent round? Basically, I'm telling you, this gun possibly misfired the round instead of actually fucking it being an unspent round. It was misfired. And most people back then, this was before we knew anything about it and all that stuff. Because I'm going to tell you why. It makes no sense to me. If you were a killer and you know you're going to kill, uh, if you're out in the damn woods with a gun, why wouldn't you just shoot him? Now, I know what you're thinking. First thing you're going to say is, well, hey, Charles, then people might hear you. Okay. So I hear guns wherever I'm at all the fucking time, and they're illegal to fire. It's still here. So two single gunshot wounds are going to be that freakishly loud or that. And for other reasons, I'm going to tell you why you can't use that as a viable theory either. Because I made sure of this and verified it as well. And you can go do the same if you like. March 13th, or February 13th, 2017, was still during hunting season. So it wouldn't have been that big of a deal during hunting season, probably to hear someone firing a gun. Just my opinion. And if you want to say, well, it's not like they were doing anything like that out there. Do we all forget that what was spotted in pictures and everything else on Ron Levin's property? There was deer blind. Why would there be a deer blind out there if there weren't fucking hunting out there, right? No, misfire might not because it depends on the way it was misfired. You're thinking of like misfire, that full on regular average Joe kind of misfire. I'm thinking of, hey, Libby's phone damn near got destroyed by water and shit, right? What if he dropped the gun too? And the gun had shit in it or whatever else. Now, see, the explanation it should be asking is why, what was there a firing pin mark, which I did ask. And apparently, even though I did not see the marks and whatnot, I was told it wasn't there. But are we still saying that without the firing pin mark, that it couldn't have been a misfire? Oh, it could have been. But at least the misfire explanation sounds a hell of a lot fucking better than the unspent round blah blah bullshit and them having to match it using a fucking fired round. The unspent round changes like the bullet was all set to be fired, and then the firing pin that makes the connection, blah blah blah, which changes everything just slightly, and that would explain why their test took a lot, more. The whole, I'm just saying, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt by saying, hey, this is how it would make more sense for the state. But the fact is, they didn't do any of that. They just said, hey, we did it this way. We don't care if it doesn't make any sense. And fuck y'all if you don't like it. Yeah. All the trail cam footage? What do you mean? Everybody knows what happens in the trail cams. Hey, that's not evidence. I'm sorry. We're not going to talk. Technically, you're quoting evidence that's actually on the state side. I'm sorry to tell you. No, she never said that that be a gun. What? Hold the phone over their head? Yes, there was definitive water damage done to the phone. I think we all know that by this point. And the water damage also caused the headphone sensors to malfunction. And really, after the phone gets wet, none of that evidence should have been allowed. Just my thought. Yeah, I know about cell phones. I've worked on them for like over 20 years now, especially smartphones. And the whole fact is, once they malfunction like that due to water and stuff, everything goes fucking nuts. Well, well, it did actually die. That's what people. Well, FYI, I keep seeing live titles and names up. Oh, the phone died at 5:57 p.m. No, no, it didn't. It didn't die at all that first day. Maybe not even the second day. I'm not sure when the actual phone actually died, or if they didn't find it still probably with power in it. I don't even know if it died. Probably didn't. The phone never died at whatever time that you all or have heard or think it was. What you do know happened was a failsafe kicking in once the phone started taking damage from the outside fucking stuff, aka the water. The failsafe kicks in and the phone powers down into a sort of hibernation mode, right? Protecting the rest of the phone from being destroyed. That's what happened in this case. Now, when the damage either is corrected or dries itself out, have you ever taken your phone that got dropped in the toilet and tossed it into a bag of rice? And when the phone gets dry enough because of the rice, it restarts itself. Hmm. Does that sound anything like what we know about Delphi? Now let's think about this. Libby's phone kind of turns off, right? At one time. Then after a long ass period of seemingly being off for quite a while, it magically turns itself back on. We all know that, Jimmy. What I'm saying is, we don't know if the water submerged, the phone was submerged or not. But yes, it took significant water damage. And yes, there is a failsafe on everybody's phone and everybody's phone now that will put that phone into hibernation mode. And I'm not going to say I know how or just the natural effects of the area did so, but it also explains why the phone comes on at a weird fucking time in the middle of the fucking morning at like what, 3, was it 3 something in the morning? I can compare the two I like. The headphone port sensors go off for 3 or 4 separate different reasons. So Are you on the phone was hacked theory? Cool. Good for you, bro. The technology didn't exist for 2 years. Dream on. Have a nice day. How about that? That's a real fact. Okay. So you can't tell me creek water, which I watched Greeno walk in that same creek like a week later, and if you're calling me a fast moving, that's a joke, right? Because he was up there near to his chest and had no problem moving it at all. So no, yeah, you're full of shit. Fast my ass. I will talk to anybody I want with whatever attitude I want. Your typing indicates attitude, so you get one back. That's what it comes down to. You can't tell me that you can tell how fast a creek is moving based solely upon the amount of water damage done to a specific phone and whether or not it'd be able to come back to life. You don't have the expertise in that matter, or I don't even have the expertise in that matter. So yeah. So I mean, I've worked on phones for 20 plus years. I can't tell you that fact. So yeah, that's all I'm saying. Period. And yes, I give anybody any attitude I fucking please. You're saying things in the middle of a chat, and people will take them as true or not. You notice each answer I give, I sit there and make sure I explain this, that, and the other. And then I say, but things could have went this way or that way or this way or that way. I don't know. I wasn't there. That's what I'm making clear. Well, then what are you trying to say? That's what I'm asking. No, I'm wondering what you're trying to explain because you haven't been given an actual, Are you saying nobody during the trial? In fact, one of the people were even asked if there was water damage to the phone or not, or if they checked for it or not. And they specifically told them, no, we didn't check. Well, I did leave a link out there for anybody and everybody to have a chance to come up here and explain whatever it is they thought or whatnot. So Jenny, why don't you tell us exactly what you think or whatever? Why did the phone turn itself off and turn back on again? Because I mean, I just gave it a logical reason of why that's possible. You know, took water damage, dried itself out, came back on. That's all I'm saying. No, they asked in court if the person had checked or whatever, and they said no. Um, Now, when I asked the same person later on, or other people that were watching the trial in person later on, if somebody else had done the check after that or whatnot, I started getting the weird half-assed kind of response. Yeah, well, I'm sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's not the kind of response I'm looking for. I'm looking for like yes, no, what. But that is the problem with the whole phone thing. Um, all I said was that the details on the phone, once it gets wet, shouldn't be know, listened to. It's malfunctioning. How do we know if what it's saying is the truth? The phone never stopped moving at such and such time. Yes, once again, after the phone got wet. So how do we know if it's actually moving or not? Right? That's the point I'm trying to make here. Is I'm not sure if people are misunderstanding me or what, but I'm thinking I made that apparently clear. That you can't just listen to what something says when it's like fucking dying and and shit like that. You can't. Oh no, I agree with that too, but I don't know how the weather is up there, so I'm not going to just jump into conclusions. All I'm doing is offering a as close to a logical explanation as something that possibly could happen. The rest, I don't know. But it's better than the fucking story that we got so far from anybody else. I mean, there is a way that a certain amount of water could have hit it to where, yes, the phone sensors or whatever went off and the failsafe. But I mean, it's viable at least, at best. That's all I'm saying. And I'm not trying to be an asshole while explaining it or whatever. I'm just literally saying, hey, if we look at what happened via the details, it does sort of fit with that. That's all. It sounds better than the killer returned back in the middle of the night and tried to access the phone, right? It does, you know, because the phones do have that. The phones do have the fail safes, and the phones, in fact, do have also the feature that they start back up. Well, I have an annoying thing in front of my face, so yeah, this is like distracting. But yeah, okay. Now you know too late about nothing. Shit. But yeah, no, no. How do you know about the amount of water? That's what I'm going to say. Because hold on, for the failsafe to kick in does not require that much water. For the headphone sensors to get wet and malfunction, it does not require that much water. So how do you know the level of water to, because actually you're wrong on that. No offense. I've dealt with phones and I've repaired phones that had both. It does not require them to be submerged in water. So where are you getting that fact from? I used the whole dropped it in the toilet thing because that's what people do at home. They drop them in the toilet, they pull them out, and they put them in a bag of rice. Everybody knows that. But you can get the same malfunctioning without it. I've had people actually bring me iPhones or whatever, and Androids, mind you, that had the headphones port sensors malfunctioning from sheer humidity, let alone the fucking creek. So if humidity at some point is in, no, don't get, I'm going to say this right. Somebody took a phone inside of a freezer, and then once they left the freezer, they walked into Florida weather, which at the time was 102 degrees, but with a high humidity, and that was enough to make the damn sensors fuck up. But just look at what we know about what the phone did, and tell me, does it not seem like something that occurred because of water damage? Logically, it should be. Or you're just trying to argue with me. One of the two, whatever. You're looking for conspiracies and alternative theories. I'm sorry, I work with logic and facts. Because your theory somehow can happen like 5 or 8% of the time. I'm sorry, I'd like to rather go with the one that's going to operate that happens like 83% of the time or some shit. It makes more sense. But okay. Yeah. We're still talking about the unspent round, aren't we? Okay. Yeah. Back to the unspent round. And before anybody pops up as you go, there's a case where they use that. This I checked out the case myself, but apparently you guys don't know how to do that. Well, in fact, yes, there is a case where the unspent round was allowed to be used, and a case against somebody else. If you had also checked, you'd see there was no experts and no anybody wrote contending that evidence in that trial, since there was so much evidence, massive amounts of evidence against the person being tried. That's the other part. You got to go the rest of the way to get your homework done. That way you come out sounding like really cool. There you go. Bam. Actually, like what? I mean, that would require somebody to start the phone up at 3 something in the morning. I think it was, wasn't it? I'm not sure what time it came back on. Um, okay, now y'all do realize, FYI, y'all think he's innocent, right? So me telling you and offering you a logical reason why something might be not functioning, and you trying to say I'm wrong there, or at least you're just giving me more reasons to say the same thing. I mean, it's like you're awesome. No, I'm awesome. Uh, y'all need to argue better because I don't know. Ballistic testing is one thing. I'd have to look into the evidence itself and actually see. At least from what I've heard, last looked into things or whatever, ballistic seems pretty intact compared to some of the other bullshit evidence that's allowed. But yeah, I do offer a possible explanation of a mess round where the firing pin did not strike the bullet. Maybe something got into it, the gun, the debris, which is why I say that maybe he dropped the gun. If the phone gets wet or whatever, you drop the gun, it gets rocks or mud and whatever inside of it. Fucking chamber. Everybody knows that most guns won't fire at that point. Why? Because your firing pin's not making connections with the fuse or whatever the fuck it's called, thus not firing, sending the round flying out. I'm not saying it did happen. I'm just offering a theory on why they had to fire the bullet to get the marks close enough. Probably had some other reason, but I don't know. But it's really bullshit that, yeah, that they try to act like it was some sort of big piece of evidence and everything else. And even recently, there is an unspent round murder case on court TV right now, and they found a bullet, an unspent round in some lady's stomach or abdomen. I think it was said, not in stomach, but in her abdomen, inside of her body. That she had committed suicide, but now they were arresting her fiance back then for homicide. Now, that's another reason why you got to be careful about your evidence. And FYI, how do I put it? How do I put it? The only real, just logical evidence I see in this case is what's so fucking ever. It's the weakest form of evidence known to man. Witness testimony. Period. Now, if your strongest piece of evidence is that, how the fuck did you win this case in the first place? Witnesses are either manipulated or just forget. Every single day since something has happened, you forget more and more details of it every single day. People get the number of things wrong, the color of the things that the other people were wearing. So many details and everything will get fucked up most of the time by witnesses. Now, am I trying to say that's what happened here? Nope. No. And I'd love to get a hold of like someone like Bree Wilbur or whatever and ask her what her group of girls saw that day just to eliminate that factor. I think I've heard somewhat, but they saw that day, and it doesn't jive at all with what was said by Mr. Allen. But yeah, trying to think of anything else. Oh yeah, the people that try to say that quite possibly it wasn't Rick Allen's car in the video. Okay, I will concede that fact that it might not have been his car in the video. But I'm going to tell you it was guaranteed probably a 2016 or no, or was it 2014 to 2017 Ford Focus hatchback, no matter what you say. And that's because, once again, you're not a mechanic. I'm not a fucking mechanic. You're not an expert. I'm not an expert. I got off my ass and did my job. You sat on your ass and did whatever you want. I went up to like a whole bunch of random mechanics with that same exact picture, and I asked them their thoughts. And you know what? Most of them motherfuckers. Now, if you're a mechanic, I'd like to think, they kind of expert, you know? Yeah, yeah. If you know that much about cars, you get to the level, at least personally, that way much, right? And if it was so hard to figure out what kind of car it was, oh Lord, there's no way you're mistaking a Ford Comet for a fucking with a fucking hatchback thing. It doesn't match up. Yeah, but it doesn't match up once you get to the little parts that square off on certain parts of the car body, which is what everybody should be looking for, and not the like tire to bumper ratio, blah 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 crap. Especially of a picture of a car that's turned at an angle. Oh my Lord, they're fucking retarded. I just had a nice little argument with Yellow Jacket the other day on this fact, and I had to explain that to her. Like, because you're looking at the fucking tire angle. It's completely messed up in the picture. Because you got one picture of the car just straight sideways, and you can look right at it, right? They got the car of whoever's and the Delphi murders, and the car's like angled. And it's like, how the fuck do you think the measurements are going to be the same from the angled car to the straight up? And they know this too. And I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna make a nice video and point out all these little details that people just ain't noticing that tells you what kind of car it is. Because you know what? The mechanics noticed the fucking same shit I did. FYI, people, I will also tell you, um, as the police should have done in the first place, even if there were the possibility that 5 or 6 other model types of cars was in fact, in that video instead of this one, or including that one, they should have tracked them all down. Duh. I shouldn't have to tell the cops how to do their job, but like in Indiana, you got to do it. And that's how it goes. Yeah. Some cops or whatever should have used that magical computer system they have and tracked down all the ones. And hey, we'll stick a detective on each kind of car. And first, just start in Carroll County and go from there. Well, guess what happens in a matter of days? Oh, look, CBS. Boom. Oh, that guy's backed in. Oh, boom. Richard Allen. Oh, now we know you. Huh. No tech needed. Crazy, ain't it? Like I said, you don't need his own tip to identify him, which is probably why he gave his own tip in the first place. Because it wasn't needed. It wasn't necessary. None of it. No, not. The fact that they didn't identify him in very short order, then get to hear his fucking lie about if his car was parked there or what time, this, that, and the other, because, then we got the car's brain. Oh, shit. Oh, that's another piece of evidence that they've lost. Oh, yeah. I mean, if they had the brain from back then they could just say, "Oh, he did leave there at 1:30 a.m. or p.m. or whatever." Or they could literally say, "Hey, Mr. Allen, we need you to come in here for some questioning because we just found out you lied to us." Boom. Very simple. Cop 101 people, it tells you if you cannot identify a suspect, track down anything and everything you are able to identify first. They seem pretty adamant that they knew what the fuck kind of car it was at that podium that day at that press conference. So why did we not know what kind of car that was for like 8+ years? And why didn't they tell us what kind of car it was in the first place either? I mean, yes, you should probably send me that. But yeah, as I said, witnesses are often wrong. Yeah, there is a chance that some other car in that video or whatever, in fact, had the killer in it or whatever reason else, and that should also been tracked down too. None of this was done. Period. Not my fault. Not my problem. Um, and like I said, I'll easily make a video tomorrow where I, once again, just the same way, I can literally still lay out the very small amount of stuff that kind of points in the direction of, hey, he might have done this. Period. But yeah, we don't convict people on like we need definitive proof. And people always bitch when I kind of give it a percentage. You gotta think that guy's guilty at least 84%. No, 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 don't make it a percentage. I'll do what I want. I'd like to think like reasonable doubt probably would be like 80%, right? If there's 80% chance that this person fucking did that. Period. 80%. What's wrong with that? That means, yeah. I find that beyond a reasonable doubt. And I just don't see that here at all. I mean, there's nobody that can actually prove he was at the fucking trails later on instead of earlier. So yeah, there's issue there. I mean, you could say, well, no, the witnesses. No, I don't hear no witnesses identifying Richard Allen as bridge guy either. So I mean, that's a really interesting detail for neither the defense or the state to even jump on. Because if I'm the state, I want to make sure I drive it home about them seeing Richard Allen. If I'm the defense, I would sit there and drive it home that they, in fact, did not see Richard Allen or identify Richard Allen. But hey, that's just me, right? You think that'd be important? But whatever. Yep. Tomorrow we'll talk about very small amount of details or evidence and whatever else that kind of points to the fact that he, yeah, at least was involved. And then we'll have an episode after that where it literally says, I don't know, how Libby caught her own killer, basically, even though the cops fucked it up and almost let him get away, and something like that. And I can show you why, and and add more evidence on it because there's like these now 3, 4, or 5 different checks of evidence that's completely gone now forever because of the cops fucking up. Period. Yep. Everybody have a nice night. We'll do that tomorrow night or something like that. All right. Have a good one. Thanks for coming.